Chapter 1. You are listening at FameTV.info. Chapter 1. Catching the Culprit Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Hot. As soon as Jiangli woke up, her whole body was surrounded by scorching heat. What happened? Where was she? She was dead, right? Jiangli remembered the scene where she was persecuted to death by the Jiang family, and her eyes were filled with hatred. However, she was soon distracted by unbearable desire, and her eyes became blurry. Ugh! It's so uncomfortable, she could not help but let out a low groan. With her last bit of rationality, she barely avoided the big hand that was moving on her body. Get lost, don't touch me, this voice made the man who was lying on top of her stop moving. Then, he sighed and lowered his head to kiss the corner of her reddened eyes. Be good, it won't be uncomfortable anymore soon. In the dim light, Jiangli saw that the man was wearing a golden mask on his face, only revealing a pair of deep eyes and sexy thin lips. Just these alone made him very handsome and stylish. His voice was low and slightly hoarse, like a cello with the best tone, making people unconsciously sink into him. Jiangli inexplicably calmed down and subconsciously raised her hand to remove his mask. Who are you? The man held her hand and rushed into her body at the same time, forcefully thrusting into her. The extreme pleasure spread to all her limbs and bones. Jiang Li's consciousness soon faded, floating in the waves of desire with the man. When she woke up again, the light in the room was still dim, and the man had already left. Jiang Li moved and she felt pain all over her body as if she had been run over by a train. This clear pain made her realize that she was really not dead. Jiang Li hugged the blanket and slowly sat up. Her gaze swept over the messy clothes and an exquisite lace mask by the bed. She picked up the mask and examined it carefully. Jiang Li gradually revealed a surprised expression. This mask was clearly the mask she wore on the night she lost her virginity at the age of 18. Jiang Li stood up in surprise and looked at a mirror. In the mirror, the young girl had an absolutely beautiful face. Her eyebrows were like a distant mountain, and her eyes were like autumn water. Her nose was small and perky, and below it was her cherry blossom-like lips. This was the 18-year-old her, who looked really naive. Jiang Li looked at the person in the mirror, and her heart pounded fiercely. It was not that she was not dead, but she had come back to life, reborn in a year when she was 18. This year, she had not married Fu Yunze, who had ruined her life. All those misfortunes had not happened yet. Jiang Li gritted her teeth. This time, she would not let the misfortunes of her previous life happen again. She quickly calmed down and thought about the current situation. She was currently 18 years old. 2 years ago, she had just been brought back to the Jiang family from the countryside to accept her family. In an accident, Jiang Li saved the old master of the Fu family. In order to repay the favor of saving her life, old master Fu insisted that his favorite grandson, Fu Yunze, marry her. In her previous life, Jiang Li did not know that Fu Yunze had long been secretly in love with Jiang Man. Jiang Li was wholeheartedly in love with her fiancé, until this time, at the masquerade ball held for Jiang Man's birthday. She was set up and said to have lost her virginity and was reviled by tens of thousands of people. Although old master Fu insisted that she should not break off the engagement, it also opened up a tragic life for her. Jiang Li recalled all the things that had happened in the past and sneered that in her previous life, she was simple and innocent. At the moment, she could easily imagine that this was the Jiang family's doing, even if she was just wiggling her toes. This was to force her to break off the engagement and let Jiang Man marry into the Fu family. Since she had lost her virginity, the next thing to do was to bring someone to catch her cheating, right? Jiang Li glanced at the door with a cold face. Sure enough, the next second, someone came knocking on the door. Sister. Sister, open the door. I saw a strange man enter your room. Did you get bullied? Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.